Welcome, one and all, once again to the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you in part by Water Cleanup of Florida. Been talking about this the last few days. Every time you walk outside, it's hotter. The humid's there. And not only that wreaks havoc on us, on our cars, it really hits home to our homes, whether it be water damage, flood, fire, mold. A lot of that stuff gets shown stronger in this time of the year, and that can be very stressful. That can be very annoying. That can be very hectic. Well, not anymore. Now that you know that Water Cleanup of Florida is out there to make your life easier. I know that they can make mine, any of our lives easier if we have any issues with our home, especially because you can reach them 24/7. They have licensed contractors so that they are able to come out there, check out your property, check out any issues that may be there, and then they can fix it themselves. Plus, with over 60 years of combined experience between Michael, Robert, and their team, you can trust their word. You can trust the quality, not only the timely fashion, not only that they can make your life easier, but you can trust that they'll get the job done to a high quality. If you give them a call, again, you can reach them 24/7, 954-579-0356, 954-579-0356, or reach them on their website, wcufl.com. If you mention 5 Reasons or Lubie, you get a free inspection during business hours. You can also check out their socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Water Cleanup FL. Water Cleanup of Florida. We clean up your schmutz. Well, there wasn't any schmutz in the South Florida sports scene yesterday. That's a positive because no one played. But tonight, the Miami Heat get back in action with the Boston Celtics. It was a kicking in the old school Wednesday with Tony Segreto. So we talked about the Miami Heat at length with Tony Segreto. We'll talk a little bit of Panthers as well. And then also Defo and I bring you our own personal opinions about the series that has ebbed and flowed, seesawed as much as any series we've ever seen in the playoffs. Right now on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Defo Show, Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz, and the great Tony Segreto is all school with us in this portion of the program every Wednesday. All right, we're talking about the bigger disappointments in South Florida sports history. We thought that had the Florida Panthers lost that first round series after a sensational, just really an exciting, scintillating regular season. Now, you couldn't help but become a fan and gravitate towards this team with the way they played in the regular season, and then you get in there against Washington Capitals team that was the 8th seed, but wasn't a bad unit. They were missing a couple of guys that might have been critical to them if they were going to have any shot in the series at all. And they managed to win this thing, although it was not overwhelmingly impressive, but they did it. They got off a schneid that's been exaggerated because of the fact that they rarely made the playoffs. So this whole business that they hadn't won a playoff series in like 27 years or whatever it was, sort of was minimized and marginalized by the idea that they'd only been to like 5 playoffs, period.
Exactly.
So, all right. So 4 times they got knocked out in the first round. I mean, it's not like this particular bunch was going to be cursed by that.
Let me tell you what, both of these playoffs have been probably the strangest that I have ever seen in my lifetime, in my career. Okay. The joke, and I'm not dismissing the hockey thing, but the joke in the NBA is always, listen, I don't have to watch until the fourth quarter. That's when everything happens, right? I mean, that's the ongoing joke. Idea. I can miss the first half at the very least, and then see what happens. I don't think I've ever seen games like this where the game was basically won in the first quarter with insurmountable leads. Yeah. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I mean, even though Boston, kind of inched back in what was game 3?
Game 3.
You never really felt that Miami was out of control here, even though the lead was being, cut in half. But man, oh man, when you jump out to a 25-3 lead, when there's 4 minutes left and you've made 1 bucket, I mean, come on.
That's impossible.
Because after that, not only is it okay, I've got to swim upstream and I've got to cut this deficit down. Not only do you have to do that, but you have to get out of your head that you're down by 25. I mean, it's almost, trying to tread both of those areas it's almost it's
hard to be that bad,
We've
actually.
seen it.
Yeah,
It
it's
really is.
insurmountable. Yeah, it's
You
insurmountable.
shoot 3 for 20 from the field
Yeah.
in a game where, Boston's defense has been touted as being very good and statistically proven to be that, but it isn't that great. I mean, that was the doomsday defense you would have thought the Heat were facing.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, everybody, I'm getting texts from all my friends, and, it's like, it's just, did they not know that Boston was going to come out with this much energy? Did Boston not know that the Heat was going to come out with this much energy? How do you not do that? How can the teams change so quickly in terms of not just their ability to make buckets? Because we can listen. We all get cold, right? But we've seen baseball teams where the bats have no hits in them whatsoever. There are guys are changing bats. They're doing everything they can, and they're just not hitting. And then we've seen that same team 3 days later, where every guy's 3 for 4, 4 for 5. They're all, they're hitting dingers like it's nothing. Yeah. But this is crazy.
I heard Pat Riley was considering having a Santeria ceremony before the game tonight, because he does believe, like I do, in matters of the occult, and he's run out of motivational stuff. But all that being said, it's funny because.
You're excited about tonight's game?
No, I'm not so excited. I'm fully anticipating that the Heat will bounce back, win this game sort of handily, and then I'll go back to Boston for Game 6. The same thing. With them having a chance to close it out.
Yeah, they're home. I mean, you got to believe it's going to be. We know it's going to be a packed house. We know the energy is going to be remarkable. You're going to be able to feel it right through your TV screen, and obviously feel it there, and. The sense of urgency. I don't know. It's just like if you're Spoelstra, you say to yourself,
what do you do?
You want to get in that locker room. And Grant, I'm sure will weigh into this. When you get into halftime, you're in the playoffs and you're down by 17 or 18 or 20, whatever it is, and you're going like, okay, now what? What can we say that these guys haven't heard? Yeah. What can we do?
I think I have the speech tonight.
Yeah, what is it?
What's your speech?
Not a single one of you received consideration. They may have received consideration, but no Heat players on the All NBA first, second, or third team, which you would have thought. I mean, it's not like they have bad guys that you could say, "Oh my God, how did that guy make it?" But Jimmy Butler once again ignored as the top guy from the Heat, and didn't make either of those three teams. All NBA. Yeah. So there it is. There's your bulletin board. They think you suck.
They think you suck. Exactly.
You suck.
There you go.
And the Heat love that kind of negative psychology, motivational stuff.
But,
which I'm not a big fan of. I really am not.
You bring on any of our friends. You bring on Jimmy Johnson. You bring on any of our friends who are head coaches. They'll tell you, yeah, we'll put it up on the board, and yeah, it may help our focus a little bit during the week. But in reality, once the game starts, they don't think about that. They just go on and play.
You don't know what's happening until you get hit in the mouth the first time.
They just go out and play. And if they're hot, we're going to give them the ball. If they're not hot, we're going to find out who is hot. If it's clanking off the irons, we got to figure out how to get it in there. I mean, when we're missing breaks. And we're missing layups.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
It was Brick City, man.
What in the world is going on?
You needed a Mason card, literally, to be a Heat fan.
Man.
I'm trying to find the point spread here for tonight's game. But,
what is it?
I'm thumbing here. Okay, here we go. The latest.
My God. Okay.
Celtics are favored.
By what? How much?
The Celtics are favored by 1.5.
So when the Heat blew out and went to Boston, they reverted back to Boston being up by a lot because that's how the series has been.
Wow.
When the Celtics won by a lot and it goes to Miami, they give the national media
Playmakers,
they
know what they're doing here. I mean, they did have the Celtics favored in the series. I would anticipate.
They've been wrong, though.
Miami very tough at home, as all NBA teams tend to be, but especially so. Miami's been, I think, unbeaten in the playoffs at home. Are they not?
They were until they lost game 2. Remember, they got annihilated.
This is my take.
Oh yeah. Oh, game 2. That's right. What am I talking about?
Here's my take, and this is like an understatement, but if I'm Boston and I'm thinking to myself, this is it. We win this, we're done. You
go up.
It's our series.
Pivotal game 5.
It's our game. Tonight's our game for the Celtics. And if I'm the Heat, it's like, all right, it's just defend. We gotta keep our home turf because we're going back.
Yep.
And
I think UD gets some minutes tonight. Udonis Haslam.
Do you
I'm
really?
going to bet on that.
He's
Yeah.
not getting it.
I
wonder what
think
the odds are.
he
What
gets in
do you think the odds are on that?
He gets in
Impossible.
there to punch like Tice or one of those guys.
I wish. Listen,
Celtic
he was so
thugs that are
fired up on.
dominating
He
under the
was,
glass. Yeah.
he
He
was
was
so
pissed.
fired up on the bench the other
He was
night.
pissed.
It's like, get his butt in there.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah, that's what I was
yo.
thinking. I was
Yeah.
thinking they may just roll him out
43 or
there.
not, get him in there.
Yeah, this Miami Heat series against the Boston Celtics, and then there was an extension last night as the Dallas Mavericks in the very dark shadows of what happened in Texas yesterday with the elementary school shooting. Did play the basketball game last night, and they did come through. They had some other people that actually made a couple of buckets besides Luka Doncic, and that made a huge differential. 119-109 was the final in that ball game. Golden State going down to the Mavericks, but now hosting Game 5. The Golden State Warriors, who many believe will not only finish off the Dallas Mavericks in short order, but will then turn around and prevail over who comes out of the East. Now, if you're a Miami Heat fan, which Lubie is a diehard Miami Heat fan, you're thinking that is a bunch of garbage. But you do have to like the fact that, a lot of the season, the Golden State Warriors didn't have their whole team assembled. They had Steph Curry injured for a good portion of the tail end of the regular season and even in the first round of the playoffs. And to see him, just putting up points with his usual ridiculous ratios and numbers. And then, I guess, the word is maybe Klay Thompson is not what he was.
He's not totally himself. Well, I don't know if he's himself. Yeah, remember, he missed 2 seasons pretty much. Like, it takes time
Poole
to become
kind
himself.
of is compensated
Exactly.
for that by coming out of nowhere to be a spark on offense. And then, that Draymond Green is one of those guys that you like having on the floor.
Yep.
And having him on your side. As crazy, as much of a lunatic as he looks like at times, and as volatile as he might be, and vulnerable to getting thrown out of a ball game and maybe even suspended for another. Still, he's one of those players. He may not be exactly what he was a couple of years ago, but very effective. You need a guy that has the hustling, all-out, all-around floor game. Do you not?
Well, and Wiggins has
Lubie
become one of the better perimeter defenders in the league, and the Kuminga kid is young, and he went for 17 and 8 last night. And they're missing Wiseman, who was actually a guy that a lot thought could be a number 1 pick. So they have it now, and they have it going forward. And I think the Eastern Conference is sort of a consolation prize after a year where we talked about this the other day, where the East had 5 or 6 teams going into the playoffs that people thought could really win the title. It feels like the Warriors right now are playing the best ball, and they're playing the best ball by a lot. Like, they're the most consistent of any of the teams.
Was Wiggins a number 1
Yes, number 1
overall
pick. The Cavs. And LeBron shipped him off so that they could get love.
Yeah. All right. Well, it worked out, getting
Yeah, they won a
love.
title.
But Wiggins has blossomed this year and become, much more visible and
All around guy.
and much more of an important factor for the Golden State Warriors than he had been, at least in my memory. I don't remember Wiggins being that big of a factor. Guess what? Was he coming on last year? But this year he certainly was an
all-star
presence for the Golden State Warriors. So, that makes you think that they're more than able to make up for what may be a semblance. Klay Thompson being a semblance of his former self, although effective in spots still. Klay Thompson. It's not like you can just completely disregard this guy, and he's capable of getting hot. So that series did get extended by the Mavericks. I like the fact that they had to fight and didn't throw in a towel, and were able to sustain it throughout an entire ball game. They had shots to win in other spots in this series, but managed to lose by rather significant margins in all of the previous 3 games. Even though in one of the games, what was it, game 2, that they led by like 20 points and then, got caught from behind. And unfortunately, once again, I don't know if it was because Luka was dominating the ball or whatever. He doesn't seem to be that type of player, but the other guys couldn't knock down a shot.
Yeah.
And that never helps the equation. Same thing is happening with this Miami Heat series against the Boston Celtics, although it's been a reversal of form through the first 4 games. With each team annihilating the other on 2 occasions and being vulnerable to stretches of just complete ineptitude. During certain stretches. For the Heat, it was pretty much the whole game. Last time. They did close it to within 20. That was a 20-point win that was misleading.
Yeah, it was worse.
It was much worse than that.
Yeah.
There was blood dripping off the chin.
He didn't play their starters most of the second half.
Yeah.
The starters were so bad that when he took them out in that period in the third quarter when you usually take out your starters, he's like, yeah, we're not putting them back in. That's bad.
A lot of injuries impacting this series.
Yes.
Various people in and out of the lineup. When I watched the hideous nature of this injury to Marcus Smart and the fact that Lowry, after he had already turned his ankle completely over, Lubie, then landed on it, right? As if you were watching a tag team wrestling match. And, obviously incidental and accidental, not intended by Kyle Lowry to be a dirty play. But, you have to think that exacerbated the situation and that would have been one of the most, lengthy limitations on Marcus Smart, that you could find in that regard. Like an ankle like that can easily take a couple of weeks, when you injure it that badly or get it rolled over that badly. So I don't know. He came back out, right, and played this guy. Did that help the situation any?
No, he came back.
Sure.
They made a little run. But the Heat, I don't know. They cut it to 1, and he was a huge part of them cutting it to 1. And then they brought it back up to 8, and they won by 6. And he didn't play last game. I don't know. From night to night, you don't know who's going to play. The Heat have like 5 guys listed as questionable. I think all of them will play except for Hero, who supposedly has not a lower leg, like a higher leg issue, like in his thigh or something. So he may not play
What are they
today.
doing, like hockey designations on injuries now? I mean, why don't they just tell you, man, the guy's got a busted quad.
It's a leg, but I saw something deeper about it that specifically talked about what it was. And it's usually an injury that takes 2 to 3 weeks, but he's going to try and play either tonight or in game 6. But that's the thing is, guys playing or not playing haven't, outside of Robert Williams not playing and Bam decided to be a monster, and then Robert Williams comes back and Bam goes back to being a guy who's scoring 10 or 9. Outside of him, like Smart in and out. Smart didn't play the last game. They played better. So it's just been what team's taking the night off. And I've never seen a series like that. I don't understand it because both these teams are veteran laden. Both these teams have been in the conference finals literally 2 years ago when a lot of these rosters were similar. I don't understand. I don't understand veteran laden clubs just taking nights off. That's why Haslam was pissed, because Haslam told him, look, they're going to come out. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be active. We can't just give in. And they shot a lot of stupid ass shots that first, even before the 4-minute mark. Like the first 6 minutes, they were settling for a lot of garbage. And then
they were missing everything.
And they missed everything. It was ridiculous. It's like, okay.
3 for 20, I think it was, in the first quarter of that game.
It was pathetic.
And, it was a shocker. I had to actually adjust my television set.
Yeah, it looked weird.
It was like the Outer Limits all of a sudden was on the screen there, or, an old episode of The Twilight Zone. You're looking at 21-4.
Yeah, so 21-4.
About 2 minutes and change to go in the first quarter, and you're thinking, no, that's got to be like 40, and it's one of those deals where the TV is not picking up the entire picture. But it was 4.
Yep.
4 points with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. So you can't get rolled out of a ball game in the first quarter, and that's happened. We saw the Celtics fall completely apart in game 1 in the third quarter of that game.
Yep.
The Heat dominated wire to wire in game number 3. And it was the Celtics doing the same thing. So very interesting to see that series going back and forth like that. 1.5 points. Celtics favored on the road after what we've seen. I love that they assume the trend's going to change. Very, very curious development to me, Mike Lubie Lubitz, that the Celtics would be favored in this game. As we've seen, the home court, has been evenly divided. But nonetheless, we've also seen a pattern here where it reverses form every other game. And you would think at home, at least a couple of points favoritism for the Miami Heat in this one? Little faith.
Yeah, I don't get that.
In the Miami Heat. With, the Boston Celtics now looking to have the upper hand in the series, although they still, it's 2 out of 3. And,
it's at home.
Miami has the home court advantage where they've been dynamite for the most part.
Yes, they have 1 loss. I don't know. I don't understand the national media or the lines makers, but like you talked about, Segreto, I'm hoping that they use it as fodder. They didn't make an All-NBA team.
I'm not sure how much it would mean to.
It shouldn't matter.
Unless they were betting on the game, then it might matter.
None of this stuff should matter, but again, as we've talked to athletes, it does matter. So I hope they take all of it into account. Like I like
disrespect. Yeah, I mean you can throw a couple of things on the bulletin board, right? The All-NBA team.
Well, no, it's
who would you have left off the All-NBA team? I mean, DeMar DeRozan was a third-string guy on the All-NBA team. He would be a a similar type player, I guess, to Jimmy Butler.
I mean, he's one-sided. He had a good 3/4 of the season, and then the last quarter when Ball got hurt,
he was
DeMar
great, though,
DeRozan's
for
season
most of
sort
the
of fell
year.
off.
I mean,
but he was an
DeMar
MVP
DeRozan
candidate.
was brilliant.
Look, my thing is, well, something's got to give. Either the Heat don't have an All-NBA guy, and they don't. I mean, Jimmy Butler missed a lot of the year with injuries. A lot of their guys missed a year with injury. Fine. But then, if you don't have an All-NBA player and you win the number 1 seed by multiple games, then that means your coach must be a fucking miracle worker. Like, that's my thing is pick. You can't have no All-NBA players and Spo not win Coach of the Year. Like, pick. Like, one of them has to be true. Like, you can't have both.
I think people acknowledge, though, Spoelstra has certainly garnered and earned all of this respect from people to be one of the top 15 coaches All-NBA in history.
That says a lot, yes. But Doc Rivers was too.
In a group. I mean, you have to peel off about a dozen legendary names before you even start to have to consider whether guys belong on a list. And, to be one of the, 3 that would be included after you, lopped off names like Red Auerbach and Phil Jackson, and Pat Riley, and you could, cite dozens of others. Chuck Daly certainly was no slouch.
Multiple titles
as an NBA coach. I mean, and many, many more, right? But, I mean, so he gets his respect. I don't know that, he shouldn't be coach of the year. Yeah, you're right. If he doesn't have anybody that's of that caliber, not even, 15 guys you name off on the All-NBA team, and you're starting at best at number 16.
Yes.
Although some of it was positional also.
I get
it.
I get it.
But we know that guys, you can have shooting guard and forward kind of blend together a little bit.
And the center
in terms
sort
of those
been
kind
erased.
of all-star considerations. But, I mean, they definitely went with a positional basis. And you couldn't argue with most of the choices. I mean, you really couldn't. Who are you going to leave out? They only Trae Young at the point guard position. Had an excellent regular season. We don't have anybody in that caliber.
I'm not even mad about the Heat.
He was
not
like third
someone.
team. So
I'm not mad about the Heat not getting someone. I just think then what does that say about Spo? And we know, look, again, he was top 15 coach ever. Most people think now that Popovich has sort of moved into that next layer, and we've only seen
Popovich coming back. I mean, does he come back?
I think he'll come back next year, but I don't think he's come back much longer. They're totally rebuild, and they have no one to rebuild around. So.
I think he just digs the job, though.
He loves basketball, but at some point, I mean, they're not winning, and they're barely making the playoffs. Like, at some point, and he's in he's got to be late 60s, early 70s. I mean,
he's morphed into Donald Sutherland.
For sure.
Yeah, also who else in NBA coaching has done a morph job in terms of his physical appearance?
Oh,
Jason Kidd has morphed into Howie Mandel. Do you see that?
I haven't.
Jason Kidd and Howie Mandel are now displaying very similar facial characteristics.
Oh, because he went full beard? Is that what it is? He has
no, not with the beard. I mean, because Howie Mandel doesn't have the facial hair, but their look to me is similar all of a sudden. In the way that, and even their mannerisms are somewhat similar in the way they talk and kind of the wry smile you get from Jason Kidd. Who, probably should get a lot of credit for. Is he up for Coach of the Year? I mean,
probably not, but
it's a pretty remarkable job there getting Dallas to this point. I mean, nobody would have thought that.
Nah.
And, they do have Doncic, so you have to figure they're going to be one of the, 90% of teams that make the postseason in the NBA. How hard is it to make the postseason? I mean, more than half the teams are in there. Pretty incredible.
Thank you, one and all, for tuning in today to the Defo Show with Lubie right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Big game for the Miami Heat tonight. As the series has ebbed and flowed, you would think it'd be the Heat's turn. They are back home. Jimmy Butler did not let the knee be an excuse. He was horrendous in that game. I mean, 7 points. He was bad. Bam Adebayo was bad. Tyler Hero didn't play. He probably still won't play. PJ Tucker did play. Was bad. Kyle Lowry. Yeah, he's had injury issues, but he was bad. They were all bad on offense, and it leaked into their defense, which was not aggressive. It was not intense, and that's what we've seen in these games where the Heat have come out and played strong at the beginning. We've seen it the entire game, and that's what they need tonight. Game 5 at home, looking for a rejuvenated effort, a rebounding effort from the Miami Heat. Would be remiss to get out of here and not talk about this, the shooting that happened in Texas. Steve Kerr, there is a sports tie-in. Steve Kerr, for 2 minutes, look, Steve Kerr lost his father, who was a president of a university overseas, and was shot, was gunned down. Steve Kerr, it hit home. But even if it doesn't, all of us in some fashion have been affected by gun violence. And to see upwards of 19 children gunned down at a school and an adult is just mind-boggling. It's sad. It's sickening. Our heart, our thoughts, our prayers go out to all of those, literally every human, because we're all affected by it. And Defo and I talked about it on our morning show. Just want to talk about it here. Look, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's not a political issue. My wife has a gun. My brother-in-law has guns. I'm not taking guns away from you. We don't want to take your guns away. But there's nothing wrong with sensible gun control, background checks, and retooling our mental health care, because the way we handle mental health in this country is an abomination. It's sad, it's pathetic, and just wishing and hoping isn't doing anything. It's time for us as a nation to do something to try and curb this tragic gun violence. Again, our thoughts are with everyone today on this sad day. We try to move on to sports. We will focus on the game tonight, but couldn't go without at least bowing our heads and giving our thoughts and just sadness to another tragic event on American soil. Hopefully, something will be done. Something will happen to try and curb this. I know that we are going to move on to some Heat action tonight. Hopefully, the Heat get on that court and show the intensity we saw in Game 3. And we'll talk about it tomorrow morning. Check out the Defo Show, 7 to 9 live. Just Google the Defo Show, DEFO. Check out our exclusive content podcast. We talked about the trial of the century, not OJ. Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard has become the trial of the century. Ashley Wilcott, an anchor with Court TV, joined us today. The Believe Network, Believe.com, BLEAV, Believe.com. Search After Hours to check out our conversation with Ashley Wilcott. And each and every day right here at South Florida Content, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.